Does that mean does that mean you don't need a lawyer anymore? And the response is a lawyer who uses AI will replace lawyers who don't use AI. And that's kind of how I see product ownership. Product owners who lean on AI will eventually outperform product owners who don't lean on AI. That's kind of how Rob and I view it. A little background on myself. Like Angela said, my name is Fred Mastro Pasco. I'm a certified Scrum trainer, a bunch of other certifications, but I have affinity towards the product owner side. I built a SaaS product, software as a service, a couple other products that I've sold, and specifically using and purely using the Agile mindset with a Scrum framework, building product and delivering short incremental feedback loops. So my background is heavily in software product development, enterprise application development, and that's kind of been my background over the last 30 years in IT, working within IT. And I will hand it over to Rob Shaw to introduce himself a little bit.
Yeah, and Fred, right before I do that, are you sharing currently?
Yes, I was. I am.
He is. Okay. Well, that is weird for Zoom. Okay, Fred, so I can't see where you are.
I will stop sharing and reshare while you introduce yourself.
Okay.
Zoom has been having some weird system problems this afternoon. It's in the press, by the way, just so you know.
There we
That
go.
is true. And you can also try, we can also pin Rob and just, or do speaker view, Fred, if that helps. Either way.
Yeah.
You see it now?
Oh, no. So Fred, if you could just leave your cursor where we are, I've got it open here and
Sounds good.
no reason to stop. So it's a pleasure meeting you. My name is Rob Shaw. And like Fred, I've been in and around the software space for a while. So I say 25 years plus because I don't quite have the courage to put 30 on there yet. Not quite there. Have been working in the Agile space since 2005. And it's kind of been an interesting journey because when I started out, very much Scrum Master, I liked the softer skill side. And as I've kind of matured over the last, I don't know, decade, just felt a strong pull back over to the product owner, product management side. As Fred kind of mentioned, the content and we'll talk about like a book that we've been starting to work on and pick together. But what we wanted to do or get out of this class was more than just AI is awesome, right? AI is coming, AI is cool, AI is awesome. It can do all these cool things. Wanted to take a snapshot in time in where AI is today and sort of go, what is practical and tactical actually look like? Even now, as we go through this, we're still learning different, more creative ways to get to some of the stuff we're going to share. So, Fred, wherever you're going to take me next.
Rob, I'm going to follow you and then just move your cursor where you want us. So
Oh,
I'll be tabbing into prompts and showing you tactical things I'm doing where Rob talks to some of these elements. It doesn't matter if real quick on the on for this is agnostic to the tooling. So you can use ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Grok. There is pros and cons to each. So it's not necessarily about the tool itself. We are using ChatGPT for the examples. I prefer ChatGPT. It has the ability to upload documents, so does Grok as well. Gemini forces you to use Google Docs, and so you have to integrate it with Google Docs. That's fine too if you want to use that. Copilot is free on any Windows platform, and but it's sitting on top of ChatGPT. So what you'll find with Copilot is that it'll give you the same answers that ChatGPT will, but they won't be formatted as well, and you won't get any images if images is something you're trying to generate. But it doesn't matter which tooling you use, so it's agnostic in that sense. Back to you, Rob.
yeah. I was just going to say, as an add-on to that, I mean, I tend to find ChatGPT with the ability to create projects that are reusable and long-lived and keep them organized. Right now is still the front runner for me. But I am liking Gemini a little bit more each time I use it. So I don't know, not a purist. So Fred, I'm going to go down and we are going to go. Might as well just ask this as an open discussion, right? So we're borrowing this from a workshop that we're doing. Um, but I am curious, what brought you into the the meetup tonight, especially around the AI? I mean, I know there's a happy hour, and you all seem like a really fun social group.
I
But
I
I'd
warned
like,
them it's lean happy hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah,
besides just loving Angela, I'm drinking a Jameson Black. So in case anyone's
Cheers.
yeah, cheers.
yeah. So I'm curious, what is on your mind for what you'd want to get out of the session tonight around AI? Anybody have any thoughts?
Don't be shy, unmute and talk.
So,
I see Tomo, and then feel free to drop in chat too.
so the revolution's coming like soon,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to get ready for it by. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, by some certain date, which nobody has told us yet.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's coming, but soon.
but soon. Yeah, Brock, I saw your hand went up.
Yeah, so I was interested in like how other organizations or whatnot are using it because mine, we aren't allowed to use stuff
Mm.
outside of organization. They built their own internally, their own
Mhm.
LLM for that. So yeah, I was curious what other options there are available out there that other people are using.
Great. Well, we can figure out a way to fit that in. Andrea, I saw your hand was up as well.
Yeah, our company does government contracting, and we are leaning very heavily into it to as like a competitive advantage. So specifically looking at ways that we can use AI and also have documented ways on like what it was like before, how we used AI to benefit us, and like what the impact was. But then even some of the other meetups that I've gone to looking at sentiment analysis for being able to quickly go through. We utilize Medallia survey, which
Mhm.
one form gets 2.5 to 4,000 submissions a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So when you're
Yeah.
getting that amount of data, sentiment
Yeah.
analysis would be really nice to kind of do.
How to
Awesome.
analyze
So,
it
Fred,
all.
we need to make sure we show that part. So we have an example for that, and if everything works as planned on the short version here, we'll do a demo on that.
And to
Yeah.
talk to some of the tooling that came up as well. Some organizations have a sandbox version of ChatGPT that doesn't have access to the internet. So you might be limited in some data because it's a snapshot in time, to keep that in mind.
Mhm.
But also, if you're building an in-house one, someone mentioned they're building an LLM in-house, you can train in-house LLMs with typically uploaded materials. So if you can provide the materials that you want to use for your AI, you can be trained on that. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But we
Which,
also see in the chat AI for user story writing, product analysis, and we'll cover some of these things as well.
yeah, Fred, what was that? We had that one student in the workshop. When was their model last updated?
Yeah,
They
they were using Sandbox. I think it was like a year ago, possibly. So
Yeah, I
it's
think
not been that long.
it was like a year or two old in data,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I mean, what we're starting to see is a little bit of that evolution. Right now, the current client I'm working for can't use their name, but they're in the private energy sector. They are just for the first time, like now allowing public access to Chat GPT inside their walls. Up until this, they were like, "Oh heck no! Like we're not going to do that." Now they were using private for about 18 months. So for them, it was an 18-month curve to figure out that like, no, okay, maybe this is okay, and there's benefit for us.
Yeah.
So Fred, I moved over. I'm looking at
Yep,
the
I'm there.
NLP target. Okay, so when we think about like how we're targeting this talk, when we do this as a class, when we're focusing the book, it's all about developing a comfort level. For me, AI has always been with getting over the fear of experimentation. So getting comfortable with the concept of if you only ever use natural language processing or NLP, that's okay. It'll get you pretty far. We're going to talk or show some prompts around prompt engineering. The way we develop the prompts for engineering actually starts with natural language processing. We talk to it, we have a conversation, we ask it for feedback on the prompts. So a lot of those between just talking to it or getting into prompt engineering goes hand in hand. The experimentation, right? If you're new to it today, and Tomo, I don't know how quickly you said that's coming. So start developing literacy now. Play around with it, make mistakes, figure out where its quirks are. There's nothing you can really do to break it. And actually, when it hallucinates and makes mistakes, it's kind of comical. So
Yeah,
I like it when it gives me weird stuff.
I think
Um,
Charlie's experienced that from his chat, right? All the
yeah.
hallucinations. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then really what we're looking at is the evolution of product ownership. I don't know. I personally haven't seen it asked for yet, but even on the client I'm working for now, the product owners are asking for it. Like, what is it? How can we use it? How can we make our life easier? So we're starting to put together like a weekly mentoring group where we just sit around and we pull up a prompt and like, all right. Let's talk about user story writing and how can this help you, or getting into story mapping and how can this help you. It's sort of on that cusp of change. I'm guessing 2 years from now, if I had somebody ask me, put it, that's probably where we're going to see it accelerate if it sticks. So going into this, right, AI is not perfect. So going into it, the understanding it only knows what it knows. So everything that it's going to base it on is speculation on historical data. All right. It can forecast, but it's only going to forecast in the context of the information that it's aware of. So in other words, whatever you ask it now, ask it 6 months from now, you'll get a different answer. Right? It's gonna evolve as it goes. So when we're doing things like competitive analysis, or we're looking at asking it to create like a new innovation or a breakthrough, it's going to do a fairly good job making suggestions, but you have to sort of take it with a grain of salt that if the customer data has changed and it doesn't know about it, it's going to miss it entirely. So it's going to depend what we ask it, what it knows about, and where we point it to get information. Um, Fred, I'm sliding over.
Yeah,
Right.
following.
Yep. The other two things just to address is AI lacks contextual awareness. Even the ones that use very good conversational language. Like I love actually reading Grok chats because it's friendly. I mean, really, it has a personality to it. But it does not get context unless you tell it to give it context. So one of the things just to learn working with it, if you're doing it for product work, is be specific. Frame the issue around it first, and then start asking it questions. And we'll show some examples of that. And then lastly, AI doesn't do snark. It doesn't understand sarcasm. It is like completely
See,
oblivious.
that's where I'm out because sarcasm is my superpower.
Sorry.
Yeah, not somebody's got to write a bot for it, like the snark bot for Chat GPT. So just if you are using it for analysis, the one thing that you want to spot check is it will take like quote best product ever as a positive.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, I hate to jump in here, but I think it's important to add, in its default behavior, it doesn't
Mhm.
know snark. There are some accounts, if you go find them, that have built really wild personas
Mhm.
Yes.
in ChatGPT and others, including one who's writing a pretty racy romance novel with it. So just putting that on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have another class on writing books with AI, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you brought it up, one of the things
No, 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 no. I'm just following you.
oh no, no, one of the things I did to teach myself AI out of the gate because I was behind the curve is I used it to write a short romance novel and published it on Kindle. All right. Now,
Cool.
that may seem weird, but I had to teach it about character development, how to maintain a plot line, how to give it the information it needed to build the world that was in. It was a fun experiment. It was so much fun. I wrote like three others.
Yeah. But back to this example. This is a
Yep.
really good example because if you did a customer survey, right? Wow, this product is just amazing, right? They're being sarcastic, where AI will interpret that as, well, you people love your product, right? And so that's something to consider.
Yeah.
Following you, Rob. One
Yep.
other thing before Rob, the NLP is kind of important too. So the natural language processing, that's really just a fancy way of saying you're asking the AI what you should do. Right. So you don't know how to prompt, you don't know how to ask for what you want to ask for. So what natural language processing is telling AI and speaking to AI like a conversation until you can get what you need. Like I'm trying to do X, how do you recommend that? I'm trying to do Y, what should I do next? Help me generate a prompt to give you so you can generate me this information that I need. Oftentimes, a couple of clients I'm dealing with, they're like, well, how do I tell the AI that I need XYZ? It's like, just tell it you need XYZ, right? It'll figure that out for itself. And then from there, you can build upon that. And the NLP, the natural language processing, is just a back and forth conversation that then leads you to a specific prompt that you want to use, which we'll show you an example of that coming up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, back to you.
No. So Fred, I was going to go and just go through the
Yep.
example. So this is
Sounds
where
good. Yep. We're good.
this is where you're just going to walk through the prompts.
Mhm.
Right. So situationally, right? I think if you've been in the product owner role, every so often somebody come to you like, "Hey, we got a brand new direction. and we got a new product that we're going to do, and we want you to be the product owner, and here's the really big idea. And it's something that we've never done before, right? Or it's new for us. So I'm going to play around with just the concept here of a replacement for Etsy, right? We're just going to use that as the backdrop for the prompts that we're going to show. They
Hang on just
consider,
one sec, Rob.
yep.
Brock, I saw your hand. Did you want to chime in there or did we miss it?
No, I thought I saw the things, the emoji things. I was trying to make it come down, but I don't think it's my. Does everybody see that, or is it just me?
I
I was
think
trying
it's
to get
just you,
that.
my friend.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to figure
Oh
out how to
no,
get.
the
I'm
emojis
seeing
are
it now. Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
board.
yeah. I was trying to figure out how to get that down, and I accidentally hit the
No,
raise
it is
hand.
not just you. It is all of us. Now
Get
I
rid
see
of
what you're
this
saying.
emoji thing. That's in my way.
Okay, that was my bad.
Yeah. Fred, I don't know what that is. By the way, I found the screen so I can follow you now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we're just going to use that as a backdrop. Now, when I start working with a client, right, if I'm working in the product space, the first thing that comes to mind for me is how quickly can I learn about the market, the customers, the users of the system, the market that they serve, the product itself, even some competitive analysis. So Fred is going to run through a series of prompts, and Fred, however you want to store the screen. But this is my starting point, right? I kind of base these on what are the first questions that I'm asking AI. What I'm looking to get to, we'll talk a little bit at the bottom. So I'll start out with natural language processing, and then I'll move into prompt engineering, which I will turn into a reusable report that I can recall at any given point in time for current data. Right.
Yeah,
So we're going to go from simple question to prompt to reusable report in
yeah.
the string here.
I think that's the biggest that's the biggest thing here is like you can create this report of data you need, and you'll see that here in a second. So like Rob said, we're building a product to compete in the same market as Etsy. Who are the top 10 direct competitors? Now with ChatGPT, if you were to ask, here's my prompt, right? I'm asking what was just there, and you will get these. I'll give these slides to Angela for you to distribute, so you'll have access to these. And ChatGPT will give me some information. Who are the top 10 competitors to Etsy, right? Because we're building Betsy, which is going to be better than Etsy, of course. And top three competitors, information about those. Now, this alone, not all of you are going to benefit or need the product discovery area. As a product owner, it could be that you're in charge of an internal product. Product discovery is not as critical or important for you. Or you're in a consulting role where the client's already determined that this is going to be successful, and so you're kind of jumping after this. But for true product discovery, the scope of a product owner, right, is what's the market? Who are the customers? Is it worth even doing the product and understanding the overall market? So product discovery is important, especially for new, not startups, launches, and things like that. And to do this manually, think about years ago. There's a lot of manual labor that have to go into this. We did product research, I think, like 6, 7 years ago on the SaaS product, software as a service, and we had to pay money for get the data. We had to spend time to figure out who has the data, then to analyze the data, and there was a lot of manual effort involved in there. We're here now with AI. You can get this information in a matter of just seconds and minutes just to figure out what you need. So I gave it a prompt. It's telling me the top 10. I could go through this, kind of analyze that. And then I come back and say, okay, right now that I have the top 10 competitors, I'm going to ask a question, right? Summarize the market growth over the last 2 years, right? Forecast future growth. And I'm going to provide that into the prompt here. And again, you can use any of the tools you want to use, right? And then ChatGPT is going to go out and gather that information based on the latest data it has. Kind of like Rob said, right? If I ask this question in 6 months, I may get slightly different information. So I'm getting market data, right? Almost $1 billion worth of market share in 2023, but 740 billion in 2024, right? And I'm getting future data here as well to see, is this even an idea we should even consider, right? Do we want to keep going down this path? And then I'm going to go down to look at, okay, in that space, what are the falling and rising trends of this space that I'm looking into? So here again, we're looking at artists and crafts, right? What are the falling and rising trends of 2025 for artists and crafts, right? People that would post on an Etsy like a store. and it's doing all the research for me. So product discovery is a huge thing that will save you a lot of time in this space. We have some customers that come to us. Most customers, like I sit in the consultant spot, so sometimes customers come to us and want us to build a product for them.
Mhm.
Most of the time, they are already convinced that this is the best thing since sliced bread that they want to build. They just
Yeah.
want us to build it. But there
Fred,
are
why,
some customers that are like, well, can you help validate some of this information? Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say while you're here, I was just, you said the word validate. I was going to ask it. What I'm doing here is checking for, does it ring true? Is the information I'm getting, is it in the right zone? Does it match up with what I think I know? And do I need to tweak my prompt? So Fred, I was just going to say, if you were to ask it to expand on just buyers for a little bit, like this is something that you won't see in the prompt example, but I'm going to have a conversation with it at this point. And I may say expand on the buyers and have it give me a little more detail, or
I'm always
expand on
torn
the
whether I
sellers.
should be like please and thank you with
I use
ChatGPT.
I use
I feel weird saying just like do it. So please, but
uh,
There is
there's
some research that these things will sometimes behave much better if you're polite to them.
if you're polite to them, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's serious research about it.
That's good to know because I'm always like, thanks, it doesn't care. All right, so yeah, we're so here we expanded on the buyer one as well, but just kind of go up, right? We're looking at sellers, trends for sellers, sustainable, eco-friendly products, personalized customable items, digital marketing, e-commerce expansion, integration of technology and crafts. Right. So if I'm looking to as a seller, that would be interesting information. Right. As a buyer, I'm looking for unique, authentic items, again, sustainable and ethical consumption. And then we expanded on the buyer. So I'm gathering information about the market. Right. And then that leads me to a prompt. And like Rob was saying, what's great about a prompt like this is find a prompt that makes sense for your industry, for the product you're working on, and then ask it to remember the prompt. Remember this prompt as give it a name. So this becomes your report in essence, right? We have there's a complicated project management tool we work with that we're integrating AI, and that does physical openings of retail locations across the globe. And they often want to know about cannibalization. That's where a location is too close to another location. They want to know data about different locations around the globe in their chain. And you could create a report, right? I could create a static report that pulls the latest data and here's a report. Or you could tell AI, this is the information I need. Now remember it. And anytime I ask you for X, give me that data. So that's what we're doing here is we're going to say format the results as a table, structure it, look at the top 10 direct competitors in that market space, and then provide the top two cons and pros separately. And I even give it a little bit of a structure of what I'm looking for, and then remember it as the pro con report. So I'm gonna put that
Charlie
in.
has his hand up there.
Charlie, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, hypothetically, you could potentially string several of these together because it's as if you're creating um, your own variables.
uh, yeah,
That's coming up. That's the
that's
next
coming
thing,
up. Yeah, you are
right?
on the right track.
You're on the right track. So this is the first report. Top 10 Etsy competitors, pros and cons for the buyers, pros and cons for the sellers, and two of each. So
Fred,
Amazon, eBay,
I'm
Shopify.
sorry, Fred, there's also a question in the chat. How is a prompt recognized as a prompt by AI?
Um,
Uh,
it's not really. I mean, Rob, you want to talk to that?
yeah, so a prompt it's a loose organization of natural language that just crafts the structure back the way it wants. You'll see there's like certain patterns like putting two in parentheses to indicate that you want a number of two. There's telling it that you want it organized in a table. There's repeatable structures that you'll see in some of the prompts that we use. The beautiful thing about prompt engineering is there's still natural language in play. There's a lot of wiggle room in how you structure them, right? So it's
Yeah, I
uh,
think.
a prompt is like a specific pattern of natural language that gets you the result that you want.
Yeah, a prompt would be you want it in a specific format and you want it laid out in a specific way. That would kind of be the prompt engineering as well. Or I want to say tricking, and I'm not sure if tricking is the right word. AI might not give you what you want until you tell it, even like pretend you're an expert, right? And what would you decide to do? And so that's prompt engineering. It's getting AI to give you exactly what you want. Where the natural language, like Rob said, is we're just having a conversation with AI until we figure out what information we want. And then we're going to say, okay, now that I've analyzed all the information, this is how I want it formatted. And that would be like a prompt.
Brock
Yeah, McKinney, right. Like programming with words. That'd be a good way to put it.
Yeah, that would be a good way of putting it. Yep.
and Brock has his hand up.
Brock.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're already, let's say, a seasoned um, product owner and you kind of are able to be pretty specific in what you're looking for, how important is it really to define like as a product owner or as a blah blah blah? Like how important is it to define
Oh,
that, or is that more important, or is it, and how
it-
much importance does that weigh compared to just being very specific about what you're wanting?
um, I like doing it, Brock, in the beginning. So I keep long-lived threads open.
Hmm.
All right. So
Okay.
I use right nowadays, I will create a project folder. I will create long-lived threads. I have a 6-month-old thread, a 9-month-old thread. In each and every one of them, I have started with a conversation to set context. I'm a product owner. I'm working for this company. We are building this type of product. I have 2 or 3 Scrum teams. Like I am just feeding it. Remember that I'm a product owner. Remember that I work for this in this industry. Remember that these are my competitors. Once I set the stage in that prompt and it's
Mhm.
responding the way I want it to respond, then yeah, I am. I rely on just good structure because I don't have to do it anymore. It knows me.
Yeah.
If I could ask, have you ever run into a case where you have to basically reseed it because you've gotten past the context window?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
And
that's
it's
the reason. That's the reason I kind of haven't done long-term threads because I kind of figure at a certain point he's just going to forget the stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So to answer that real quick, so yes, you do need the paid version if you want to remember long term. If you're in the same thread, you're okay. But if you do want to have, like, if you're using it on a day-to-day basis, you do a paid version is beneficial because it has the memory. So it will remember this is the product you're working on. This is the team you're this is your the team the makeup of your team, etc. So
right.
the paid version does provide that. Now for
But it
the
does.
what you're
Even the
talking
paid
about
version has a context window limit, right?
yeah.
Of how.
The
Yeah.
Yeah.
thread you're talking about, what will usually happens is after a while, the answers start getting dumb and stupid. Like something happens to ChatGPT where it starts to forget things in the past. And so we usually recommend after a while what you might want to do. You could say, summarize this thread for me of what we've discussed, and then you start a new thread and you copy and paste that summary into the new thread, and you can start a new one and then continue the conversation.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because one of my kids is using a lot of AI for software development, and he says that's actually the biggest pain is that as you start refactoring,
Yes.
the
Hmm.
system starts doing dumber and dumber things and
Yes, it
forgets
starts
Yeah.
what the point of the
yeah.
project was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm an ex-software developer. I've used it recently to integrate with some things, and that's actually the case. It starts to forget, so you have to either remind it or start a new thread with here's the starting point, the new starting point. Absolutely. Yep. But to go
Thanks.
back real quick to here is now that we have our report, the pro con report. So here we have a list of competitors, pros and cons, right, for buyers and sellers, and then we can build off of that report. Now, I don't know if Robbie want to talk to this, but now we can say, okay, as a structured table now, the craft seller report listed top 5 news sources for crafters selling online. So who are the news sources for people that are crafting online, right? So we're gonna paste that into the chat GPT. Right, here we go. Here we go.
So, Fred, as you're pasting it, what you're going to see over the next 2 prompts, this one and the one following it, is I'm actually setting the stage for a larger report.
Yeah.
Fred, if you want to let that one run, we don't have to go
Yeah.
through
Two was
the results in detail, but
two
then
was I think Charlie said or somebody said, right? Mention was or maybe it
yeah,
was Joel
yeah.
or
So what I'm looking at it now is I know my 2 main markets are going to be on the buyers and the sellers, being a B2B sales site. So I'm capturing my news sources for buyers, my news sources for sellers that play in this space.
yeah, just to show,
Yeah.
right? So top news sources for online craft sellers is these 5, and then top sources for hobby crafters online are these sources. So think again, if you're in a different market, if you're in a healthcare market, possibly, who's the top five sources for healthcare news, who's the top five sources for, government news, right? And you can create an individual report. This one's called the original one here. We have a pros and cons. It's called the pro con report. This one's called the craft seller report, and this one's called the crafter trend report. Right, so you can start naming those elements within the AI of remembering this data. And like Rob says, now that we have all that information, top news sources for buyers, top news sellers for crafters and sellers, now combine them into one summary report. The summary report. If you want to talk to this, Rob, or if you want me to too, but
Well, what this boils down to is in the product management space, my market information is gold. So can I have AI repeat the steps that I would do on a monthly basis? To repeat the steps, the journals that I would read, the sources, summarize the news sources I would read on a quarterly basis.
yeah.
So my first round at this was just being open up Chat GPT and say rerun my market summary report. And for that week, that day, that month, right, giving the parameters to do it, it would just give me a dump and the links back to the articles. What I've started playing around with now is, can I automate scheduling it? All right, so can I put it on the scheduler and have it email me the results of this report automatically without me doing anything? Playing around with different ways of just
Yeah.
even automating it now, so I don't have to manually run it. My first version was manual. I had a calendar reminder, and I would go out and log in and just, what's my market report this week?
Yeah.
What's changed? All right, and read through it and figure out what I needed to do with it.
ChatGPT will has tasking, which you can have it do it on a daily basis or monthly basis. The other ones don't yet. The other ones don't have tasking abilities yet, but ChatGPT does, where it runs it on a weekly basis as well. But you can see here in the prompt, now combining, and someone mentioned this earlier, I'm now combining all three reports: the pro con report, the craft seller report, and the crafter trend report, right? And if maybe you're into stock trading, right, you could do something similar to this, right? Completely unrelated. It's like, show me my weekly or daily dump, and remember this as a keyword that every day I want the latest, greatest information in the market, or and so forth.
Yeah, and then where it comes down into prompts, you get down below that, right? So remember to format the response in structured analysis, label each section, remember to do this, right? That's just where the prompt engineering comes in, is I have a specific way I want you to lay it out, and this is the language that gives that to me.
Yeah. So now that I've done the my market summary, and I've told it what I want, this tells me latest updates from my competitors, right? What are they doing? And then what are the top five rising trends? What are the top five falling trends in my market, in my area? And now once a month I could say, run me my market summary report. And that's a big one, right? For as product owners, it's like, if you're in the public space, if you're an internal product owner, this isn't as beneficial because you're just doing the day to day. But if you're building internally for your internal customers, but if you're in that space where you're in that public space, right? B2C, B2B, then you want to know what's going on with your market so you can pivot correctly and see what's rising, what's falling, and trending. So you can run this on a monthly basis and say, run me my market summary report, and you'll get this with the latest information up to date.
Did you?
Right,
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry,
gonna say,
Rob. There's a question in the chat from Annalyn. Can I link my report requests to my calendar, or does AI have an internal calendar?
You can't link it to your calendar, but what you can tell with the chat GPT is you can use if I go all the way to the top here, you can use, oh, I don't have it in this one. Let me switch. You can change it to the task-based one. This one's scheduled with tasks. I can't do it in this one right here. I have to go to a new thread, but you can do a scheduled task, and you can say, run my market summary report monthly or weekly or daily, and it will send you an email when it's run that report. The email comes with a link, you click on it, and it gives you the data for that. So it doesn't tie to your calendar, it just more will send you an email that a report is ready for you as well. So that's the scheduled task within ChatGPT. The other tools don't have that, so ChatGPT is a little more robust in that area, but it does not integrate with your calendar.
yeah. Now, I would suspect a year from now we'll have a different conversation about it.
Yeah.
because I think that's one of the things a lot of people are looking for is can you just automate things and repeat it on a regular basis for me?
Yeah.
I
So
haven't
that,
tried this, but I suspect you could use Zapier to do that if you wanted
yeah,
to
you could
Yep,
too.
with
Yep,
any
you
of the
totally
tools.
yep,
can.
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Joel, I have yelled at Zapier more over the last 6 months than I care to admit to. So yes, you can do it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So Zapier for everyone else, right, is some of you might not be familiar with. It's a tool online where you can integrate and set up events and steps and get data from different systems and pull it together. So you could say something like, when I have a new email received, even for functionality,
Right.
please ask ChatGPT to write that in a user story format and
Right.
give me
Or
that
or
data.
even when you see an appointment in my calendar that looks like this, go do that
Yep, go
with
do
ChatGPT
XYZ.
or Gemini or whatever. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
So for these prompts, how do you ensure that the sources are good? Because I saw it collect from a bunch of different sources.
yeah.
Um,
So that is where the human side comes in, right? There's only so much that we can put together in a demo, but
And that is why AI can't replace, right?
human.
Yeah, the human part
Yeah,
element of it.
yeah. It's really good at collecting information. In real life, I'm refining this, right? I'm checking the sources. Is this a good one? I'm giving it feedback. Like, I don't like craftgossip.com, right? Can you use this instead in the report? And it'll swap it out. Or I
Yeah.
discover a new one. I can go back to edit my market report and say, can you add a sixth one and add this one to the mix?
Yeah.
So it doesn't replace human analysis. You still have to, as a product owner, look at it and go, yeah, yeah, that's good. Um, I will say I've discovered some new ones that weren't on in my bookmarks just by doing this. So while it does give me some wonky suggestions, probably equally as much it gives me ones that I was not aware of.
Yeah. And Rob, let's move on from product discovery and go on to another section here because not everyone might benefit from the product discovery element.
Okay.
We think, yeah.
Are we going to do
But
this?
the takeaway here, right, is that you can have AI generate you information. You can store it as a predetermined code key name for a report, and then you can build those reports on each other to come up with a big report that gives it that delivers that information to you on a routine basis of your
Okay.
choosing.
Fred, you want to do market assumptions?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Do you have the files?
I do not. Do I have the files? Where are you
They
at?
should be in the Dropbox.
Yeah, let me go to the Dropbox. It's somewhere down here. Where's that at? Dropbox link, is it not on here?
Yeah, it's on there. The two red boxes goes to the
Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, so this ties to someone was mentioning earlier, right? They're getting a lot of data out there. So let me pull this up while Rob's talking. I'll download these.
yeah. So we're gonna go in and do either survey feedback or I also use this for support ticket analysis. It's the same pattern. So as a product owner, I will often ask for a dump every month of what type of tickets came in. And that used to be a manual read through, or I'd go into, Jira or Azure for Teams and just read through the logs. Nowadays, I will generate that as a CSV report or an Excel report, and I will pump it back into ChatGPT and ask it to do analysis on me. And then I will have it do comparative over a couple of months to see what trends or ideas have come up. The same thing works if you were doing a survey. So in this example here, we're gonna use survey, and Fred, you want to run it from prompt creation all the way down to the generation or analysis of it.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
start at the top here.
And Fred, there was a question in the chat. Are you using Miro or Mural?
I know, I don't know why they call it the same thing. I'm using Lucid. Typical.
So
Yeah,
neither. So
neither.
let me answer
Yeah.
Charlie. It's Lucid.
Surprise. Yeah, so Lucid is what we're using. Yeah.
Got
Very
it.
cool.
Thanks.
Got it.
Yeah. So the newer popular kid on the block, and it took a while, but I like it better. I've used both Miro,
Yeah,
Mural, and I
I like it a lot.
Lucid. Yeah, Lucid was like, eh, and now I'm like, yes.
Yeah. One of the cool things
Anyway,
about my favorite thing about Lucid is banks of never mind, we'll get into it. But
Yeah, this is not a. We can do a lucid talk later.
yeah, yeah. These are not downloading. Come on, let me download these.
So, if you think about doing market surveys or customer surveys, the two hardest parts are coming up with the questions and then analyzing the results. All right, the sending part's pretty easy. I am a notorious. uh, I am not a good question writer. I am long-winded. I use a lot of words. Concise writing is not a superpower for me at all, ever. So chat tools like this for me have been a savior, right? I will often start out similar to the prompt that's up there of, um, can you suggest some assumptions that we need to validate about the product I'm in? Based on that, can you generate a list of 15, 20, 30 questions that would target those that I get to pick and choose from? Um, can I do it for buyers? Can I do it for sellers? Can I do it for subsets of my personas that I'm working with? I send that out into the world. I get results back. I don't want to read through all of this, right?
Yeah,
So first pass, can I leverage ChatGPT to do some summary or sentiment analysis for it?
yeah.
So Fred, if you want to run through,
Yeah, so in this example, we have seller service. So let's say you want to probe your customers. I think someone said they have a lot of data they have to get through for analysis, right? And so imagine you send out a survey, you have a lot of data and some analysis tool, a survey tool that you're collecting. Even if it's something as simple as SurveyMonkey, right? And you're sending out something out there, or a list of tickets, support tickets as well. And then you can do is take all that data and upload it to ChatGPT for analysis. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT. Rob, which one do you want me to upload? The
you,
buyer
you,
results or seller
you,
results?
you can upload your choice, or you can do both. I
So I'm
think
gonna
that works
I'm
with
gonna
both.
upload both files here. So I'm gonna say, okay, I sent out a survey. So assume I've sent out some type of survey to the sellers. I've sent out some survey to the buyers, whatever that survey is, where I am asking them, what's the context of the survey here? Let me switch back here. All right, so I'm sending out a summary, generate a list of 15 buyer questions. So you could ask ChatGPT to generate the survey that you're looking to generate to see, there's different functionality you want, different features you want. And then you can save that results, send out the survey, save the results. And now I'm going to say compare the survey results and show whether something is recommend whether it's high, medium, or low for based on the information of the results that came in. So I'm gonna come down here. I'm not gonna do suggested approach because we skipped a step here. All right, so I'm going to say, I mean, I'm gonna do this live. I'll say analyze the data. Whoops.
Mhm. And Tomo,
Analyze.
did I see your hand go for a question?
I think you answered it, so thank you.
Oh, look at that.
Analyze. Yeah.
Nice. We got
Oh, you
one right.
answered. You answered them telepathically. All right, and analyzes data from the survey and what features functionality and
Yeah.
suggest new functionality or features we should focus on.
Yeah. Yep. Or new functionality. Let's say rank them high, neutral, and low
Yep.
with a summary of recommendations.
Rank them high, medium, and low with summary recommendations. So I'm taking data of what is everybody complaining about, maybe, or maybe support tickets. I think someone mentioned like how do to help prioritize. You could export your product backlog, dump it into an Excel file. If you give it the context of your product, right? Maybe vision, maybe here are my user roles, here are my personas, possibly, and then help me organize what's best, what's the highest value item, what's your recommendation? And to what we mentioned earlier, right? You still need that human element. Like does this even make sense, right? Because it doesn't understand, again, doesn't understand that context. So I'm gonna tell it this is live, so who knows what it comes back with, right? And slightly different from our prompt. But here, based on the results, right, and who answered them, Let's see. So what do we have here? Buyer results. They're the results of the buyers, right? Things that they complained about, things that the sellers based on their survey. And now here's the results down here. High priority features, loyalty and rewards program. Right, 73 responses for buyers, 72 for sellers. Strong mutual interest, implement flexible loyalty system rewarding frequent buyers and high performing sellers. All right, that's something we might have not thought of. Exclusive artisan platform. So what does that really mean? Build or reinforce a niche craft focused experience to distinguish from mass market platforms, emphasize authenticity, community, and quality. So that might not be a feature we build in the product, but that might be a way we market the product differently, possibly as well. And educational tools and resources, right? Develop workshops, templates, and tutorials focused on marketing. Those are the high ones. Medium ones, more payment options, better customer support, marketing support tools, faster improved shipping, and then low priorities, subscription-based artisan boxes, and customer trust features. Right. So taking all that data, we don't have to go through and analyze it. We don't have to go through and understand it all. We upload it to ChatGPT or Grok. This is where ChatGPT is better and Grok's better because they'll just take whatever you upload. Gemini is will you have to connect it to a Google account, which is fine, right? If you have that. So you have to connect it to your Google account and upload it there. But it can analyze all that data. So I think someone mentioned earlier, I might have been, I don't remember who it was, right? Someone mentioned earlier they have a lot of data they have to sift through. You can upload it here and then have it summarize and analyze that data for you.
Tomo is back with another question.
I
That's
am.
Tomo.
So this is how to figure out what people want.
Hmm.
And they want things like, can it spit out gold bars and things like that.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
as a PO, you compare that with the costs and you make some decisions. Where are we going to get the costs? Will it tell me? These are hard, these are easy?
I could, while it might not know hard or easy, right? I can tell it my team makeup. So that's something else we do in our classes where this is my team makeup. I have three developers, one QA, one front end, whatever my team makeup is. This is what their salaries are. This is their current maybe velocity on average. What's the dollar per point, right? This is how they've sized that effort, and I can now associate a cost to those elements. But you're right, that's where the human element comes in because it's not going to know that's hard or easy. Now, what you can ask AI is, given my team makeup of this is who I have skill wise. Um, Tell me if you think it's hard, easy, or doable or reasonable. And AI
So
will usually make a pretty good assumption along those lines. But you're right, you got to talk to your team to get that effort.
so here's something I tried. The team's been going for years. Every single story went into Jira or Rally or something. Um, I know what the request is, and I know exactly how long it took to deliver that. So if you crunch that data, you get some really interesting things.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
if you want to crunch the text of the descriptions, now I need a tool. Have
So
you tried
what?
it?
Yes. So I have played around. It's not where I want to put it into like one of the classes that we run yet, but I have played around with running the team sprint history into a chat thread. So what was the context of the story that they worked on? What was the effort and the estimate that they gave it? And I asked it to do
But
some analysis based on what if scenarios. Um,
and I
right
don't
now,
want estimates. The estimates are all wrong. I've been able
yeah,
to prove that.
yeah,
But yeah, but I have actuals now.
yeah.
Actuals are interesting.
And by actuals, I haven't yet played around with putting the tasks in there yet that actually had hours estimates on the tasks and the work that was in there. So the first one was what was the minimum it would accept to give me some sort of projected cost for future work. I don't know, maybe 30-40% confidence. Some of it looked really good, and some of it just I looked at, I'm like, yeah, no. The next evolution that I want to play around with is can I get it down to a subtask level? Can I get it ordered in a way that I can consume it? And is it smart enough to know what that work was based on the hours and the actuals to forecast based on what I'm feeding it?
You need to be able to read the stories and have it crunch them, but it was not trained with them,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So you just get some keyword analysis. That's the
Yeah.
place I've been stuck. How
Yeah.
do I actually get it? How do I grab a big glob of stories and
Hmm.
train the system on them?
Yeah.
You got a
Um,
solution for that? That's where I'm stuck.
well, so I'm curious what you've tried so far.
Um, I had someone help me out and we ran it through Boost, but when I did the analysis on it, it was just keywords.
Yeah.
There was 40, 50 keywords that it was using to correlate the difficulty, the durations
Yep.
with the text. And it was good. It was about as good as the teams,
Yeah.
and it was a lot faster,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
felt primitive.
Yeah. So for something like that, I usually will try to export it out either into a spreadsheet or some other data store where it's going to be able to store that text and then point it to Crunch. I'm not familiar with Boost as a tool, so I'm not familiar
It's
enough
it's
to know
a
what that
it's
gives
an
you.
AI algorithm
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea had her hand up too, and I want to make sure. Tomo, did you have anything else before I go to Andrea?
sounds good. Thanks.
Okay.
So if you wanted to verify any of the information, could you basically have it break it up into recommendations and then put it on a spreadsheet,
Hmm.
make it
Hmm.
data, so
Yep.
you can then
Yeah.
go through and like
Yeah.
review?
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob, and I'll add.
So y- there's a couple of steps that just that we're in between when we do this as a workshop in between here and there. Um, but we will actually go through, have it create like an outline of a product vision. You can actually have it lay out a roadmap. You can have it start making those suggestions. And then I will take that down and sometimes ask it to, what do I need to create a business case based on what you know? And then start feeding it other information of, what's the total addressable market if we were to do this? What does it offer from a revenue perspective? Sometimes I have to give it information that I know of. Sometimes I have to go back and craft a prompt for it. But you can get there. Freddie, I don't know. Would this work going through this if we did it
Yeah, we cut the
using some
we
steps?
skipped a couple steps. So, but like to Andrea, to what you're saying, one is yes, it'll create that sheet for you. You can even use I think ChatGPT has ChatGPT operator where you can tell it fill in this Google sheet, and it'll fill the Google sheet in for you based on recommendations, based on changes you need to make. But if you have all the background data, like Rob's saying, you could have it generate you the roadmap. You can have it generate you the release plan. You can have it generate you the product backlog items. It will create you could set you tell it you want it and use the story format. And then it's split them by vertical slices. And it's kind of what Tomo's talking a little bit about, right? You could train it on average, this is what how my team sizes these backlog items. This is what kind of fits in a sprint historically. Make a best guess estimate of are these too big or too small? They need to be broken down, right? And add acceptance criteria. So that's kind of the day to day. On a day to day basis, product discovery is not something you're doing on a day to day basis typically, but the writing of product backlog items, splitting of backlog items into vertical slices, the clarifying maybe acceptance criteria, that's stuff you're going to do on a day to day basis. But this is a prompt, right, for define an MVP. Let me copy this over, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah, this may hallucinate a little bit because it's missing some pieces, but I say Fred, go for it.
Well, I got a previous one I could use. I could use the one from a previous one here. So I'll put this in a previous class we did. So what I'm telling it to do is create me an MVP roadmap release plan, right? And we've categorized functionality into one of three areas: platform infrastructure, seller product goals, so people that are selling the product, and then buyer product goals, people that are buying the product. What's all the functionality are related to that? And then it recommends the initial MVP must have, right? Are these elements here, right? Scalable platform, onboarding wizard, storefront, etc. And then future rollouts after MVP, right? Analytics, full driven recommendations, but it provided me that structure of this is the direction it recommends of for an MVP or a roadmap, possibly to populate a roadmap.
Now, Fred, just as an add-on to, right, keep in mind that is looking or working from a greenfield idea.
Right.
If you have a thread or you're giving it actual product information, it will tweak it, or you'd have to tweak that to put it into context for the product, the product itself. Um, Fred, I was going to say, can you give it some feedback on that prompt? Ask it to explain itself. One of my favorite prompts when I'm in there. So tell me why you put things in future versus now. All right, because that's like, it gave me a recommendation. Do I trust it?
Yeah. And yeah, I'll do that here in a second. So you'll notice that there's a dual screen now. So ChatGPT opened up its Canvas window, and what it does, it says this is the recommended roadmap, right? But you can make changes live to it, or you could ask specific questions on specific line items, or replace things. You could say, take these, and you could get further detailed analysis on those items. And that's something you can't get with the other tools, but you can get with ChatGPT. So Rob, what do you want me to do? Ask it to what?
Yeah, break down its analysis. What did it use for its analysis between initial and future for the MVP?
Thanks out and future MVP.
Yeah,
So
No
so
pressure when people are watching you type, Fred.
I know, right?
that's why he's typing. Fred is faster forwards. I'm faster with the backspace.
Yeah, that's funny. So breakdown initial versus MVP versus future rollout. So the must-haves, and it kind of explains why you need some of these elements. This is where you need the human element. Like, do I really agree with this? Is this really where the direction we want to go? But it helps at least give you a starting point, right? Let me start with this now. Now, future, initial seller product goals, onboarding wizard, product goal, upload to storefront creation, buyers, personalized buyer feedback and wish list as well, bios, badges, and reviews. I might need to break that down, so I might ask it to break that down. And then future elements. Again, I don't have to follow this, or it's not the say all be all, but it gives me an idea of where to start. Right?
Yeah.
This does make sense to me. Do I need all of this stuff? Maybe not, possibly. Reviews, yes. Bios, does a buyer need a bio? I don't think a buyer needs a bio, right? I don't think badges might be fun to get people re-engaged in the platform. Maybe we do that, but I don't think a seller is going to care about a buyer's bio, right? So,
Charlie, did you want to say anything about what you dropped in the chat? Or
I mean, I can.
was it just
Yeah, I was just
commentary or a question?
yeah, it was just making me think. It made me think about that classic example. And I put in the chat that AT&T had asked some high-paid consultants in like 1985 to predict the future value of the total potential cell phone market,
Hmm.
and they were famously off by something like 1,000 or 10,000%. They were just
yeah,
dramatically off, and like just think like the same thing. Like um, you're gonna get errors. It's not gonna work if you ask it to predict what's gonna happen 10 years from now for some sort of market.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I don't know if I would ask it 10 years out for TAM.
Yeah.
yeah. That
Uh,
kind of comes to earlier what Rob was saying. It's like the AI is only based on historical information. You're right, and
Right.
it's lacking that context as well. I mean, back then you probably could have asked it about not cell phone I can't
uh,
remember payphones, right?
Hmm.
Tell me how payphones are going to be doing. And it's like, yeah, payphones is a great idea, not realizing that cell phones are starting to hit the streets.
yeah. Now, Charlie, I have done things like based on a 4-year trend, and here's the data of that. What do you think it's going to look like in 25? Speculate on what do you think it's going to look like in 2025, 26. Why? Because I don't know. So I'm going to use it to at least give me a guess, and then I'm going to go do some research and validate it.
Right.
Now, here what I've done, I've asked it to create me a product backlog. Give me a structured MVP backlog using Epic feature benefit format, right? And it's going to provide me, here's the features at a high level, so I know what I'm working towards. Right, here are the epics I might roll up to that functionality if you're using that structure, right? And again, large functionality of feature and benefit. And then each of these I can then take down and break down to actual product backlog items, right? For the sake of time, right? I can now say expand upon. Right. Expand the pond because I think someone was asking about user story already. And now I could say take a functionality and expand upon it. Expand the backlog by adding user stories for each feature using the complete user story format as a I want so that. Now we skipped a step here because typically we have AI generate our personas, our list of personas and use the list of user roles. So I'm not sure what's going to generate now because I kind of skipped a step here. But here's the epic core platform infrastructure, secure payment gateway integration, the benefits, and then user story number one. As a buyer, I want to pay using my preferred payment method. So I feel secure about checkout. As a seller, I want payments to be processed quickly. As a platform admin, I want transaction logs so I can resolve disputes and failures accurately. So it's giving me the base user story format or for product backlog items I might use. Not that you have to use user story format, right? Just commonly used, right? A traditional PBI. And then for each of these, I could even ask it to suggest the acceptance criteria. As a product owner, I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, okay, let me generate some product backlog items in a user story format. And before I take it to my team in refinement, what are some acceptance criteria I should have in there that I didn't think about, right? From that business perspective. So I might say, let's look at we'll take one of these, right? So let's say as a buyer, I want to pay using my preferred payment, right? And I'm just gonna, so I can take all this, put that in my product backlog, and then ask, please provide some acceptance criteria. User story. All right, so I'm saying, please provide, and I could say, easier would say, please provide 3 acceptance criteria for all the user stories you provided. Right? I don't have to specify each single one. I'm just going to specify one now. And
Brock?
if it's too big for the team, right? Can you help me vertically slice this into smaller pieces? Brock, you have your hand up?
Yep.
Yeah, on our internal our LLM, one of the things I found out was that when we were asking it to do acceptance criteria and specify it to be in Gherkin format, that it will write it a little bit differently if you say format versus if you say using Gherkin syntax.
Hmm.
So thought
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Yeah, you see it here. It gave me the Gherkin syntax, given when then. So those of you that might not be
Yeah.
familiar with behavior-driven development, Gherkin language, given when then. It gave me that by default, which I prefer not to use as a product owner. So I like to verify that format. And it updated now to verify that. Right? Verify that the checkout page displays both Stripe and PayPal options. Verify that payment uses HTTPS. Verify successful payments lead to. And I might not need some of these. Now I know my product. This is where the human element comes in. I don't need to specify that it's HTTPS, right? The whole product is HTTPS. It's kind of a waste of, probably a waste, probably. I might need to, so I just take that out, or we talk to our team. Confirmation page, invalid details trigger a clear error message, right? But what is that error message? Which now we're talking about, now we're going to refinement. But I can take this, now I have a user story, I have acceptance criteria. I can take that to refinement with the team and clarify that some more or tweak that as needed. But I have a base to start with where I don't have to come up with it all on my own. If that makes sense. Sorry, Rob, back to you. Rob, did we leave out? Oh, there it is.
I know I am here. Let's see what else was left, or do we want to turn it over for questions, right? Because we're coming up on what, about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes left.
Yeah, and if we want to do open Q&A and just, for the benefit of some of the introverts in our group, we can go ahead and hit stop on the recording if that makes you feel more comfortable to chime in with your questions. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and do that.